Welcome to EvoBizDevo with Isis Latham, your host, your hub for personal and professional growth since 2018. At EvoBizDevo, we bring together entrepreneurs, business leaders, and change makers to spark ideas, share knowledge, and grow together. Stick with us as we explore fresh ways to expand networks, build resources, and create lasting impact. Let's get started. Well, good afternoon, Evolution Business Development. It is a pleasure to introduce you to Alyssa Zonghetti. Alyssa is here to bring hypnosis to us to support the new year. And, Alyssa is a certified clinical hypnotherapist and a member of the International Certification Board of Clinical Hypnotherapists, otherwise known as ICBCH. An International Association of Counselors and Therapists, IACT, and that is the Greater Boston chapter. There's so much more to you, Alyssa, than just your designations, though. Tell us a little bit about the journey that brought you to this.
Yes. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I love being here. And my journey is an interesting one. I am actually a corporate event planner by trade. That was what I have done for the last 20 years. And right around the start of the pandemic, I started hosting virtual workshops for women that were most importantly quarantined alone. So for people that were feeling very isolated and alone at that time, as we all know, it was a very unique time. So I started hosting these workshops for women, both social, and then it grew into more educational and grew a whole membership and networking group around that. And from that, I started doing a lot of empowerment coaching with women. Very short and condensed version of my story. I was in a very toxic relationship for a lot of years. I was married and my husband died by suicide. And so through my healing after that journey, it was a narcissistic relationship. There was a lot of different dynamics at play there, but I really went on a deep personal development journey to understand not only my partner, but to understand myself, to understand what my role was in that relationship in those situations. And so that combined with, again, my event planning, my love to bring people together, my love for community and gathering, it culminated in creating that networking group and again grew into me doing empowerment coaching with women by sharing what I have learned and what I had gone through. And by sharing that story so publicly, it allowed me the opportunity to help others going through similar situations. And a big part of my personal development journey is, and I'm sure we all know, probably all career people or entrepreneurs here, we know mindset is a huge part of the journey. And our mind is really powerful. And once I really started to understand that, that's when I really was able to make some big strides and changes in my life, both personally and professionally. And hypnosis was part of that. Hypnosis is all about reprogramming that subconscious mindset. We have all of these things that we don't even realize that we have taken on, whether it's from people around us, things that are happening around us. We create all of this subconscious thoughts in our mind, and we don't realize how it's impacting us on the daily basis. But the wonderful thing is you can reprogram that. And it's a lot easier, honestly, to reprogram the subconscious than our conscious mind. And once you can understand that and understand the power of hypnosis to reprogram the subconscious, it's a really powerful tool that can change things from habits, fears, phobias. It can help with anxiety and stress. There's so many modalities that it can change and help, impact you for the long haul. That's what I really have loved about hypnosis. I am a proponent of talk therapy, but in a lot of situations, we can end up in a situation where we're in talk therapy and we're just going and talking and someone's listening to us, but we're not creating change. And what I loved about hypnosis was the fact that you can create change. And that's what I really wanted to bring when I was coaching. I saw a lot of my clients, again, would just want to kind of come in and talk about what was going on, but they weren't creating the change. They weren't taking the action steps forward to create change. And that's why I wanted to bring this modality to them to say, okay, here, we can actually create change. This is what's going to move the needle forward. And so that was what led me to become a hypnotherapist.
And what did you have a particular experience with hypnotherapy yourself?
Yeah, for me, it was more the bigger picture of mindset. You may have heard of NLP, neuro linguistic programming. So for me, it was a little bit bigger picture in terms of the mindset work and language patterning, and again, just working to change your mindset. We hear a lot about, think positive, or, some of these very surface things. It's like, okay, that's great in theory. Like, I could think positive all I want, but if I'm not creating true change and what's happening in the brain, that's never going to work. That's like muscling through it, right? Like if you've ever maybe told yourself, okay, I'm not going to eat that junk food, right? Like we kind of muscle through and just like, oh, I'm just not going to think about it. I'm not going to eat it, like just hide it from me, right? That's not actually creating any kind of lasting change. That's kind of, as I call it, like grin and bearing it or muscling through it. That's not creating change. What hypnosis does through language patterning like NLP, it's creating that actual change in the brain.
You said a couple of things that I wanted to make note of. You said it's easier to reprogram the subconscious mind over the conscious. Maybe you could define what subconscious is and what conscious is so that we're on the same plane there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to have people, I'm a visual person. So if you can visualize an iceberg, right? If you think of the iceberg, then you think of the water line, and then underneath the water line, there's that deeper iceberg. So if you think of the top of the iceberg, the part that's sticking out of the water, that is your conscious mind. So that is things like your willpower, critical thinking, logical thinking, your short-term memory. But the subconscious mind is everything that's under the waterline there. That's your imagination, that's your values, that's your beliefs, your habits, your patterns, your intuition, your fears, those emotions. That's really where we're tapping into the subconscious mind. If you think about one example I like to give people is if you're driving someplace often, sometimes you're kind of just on autopilot, right? Like you drive, you're kind of daydreaming, and then you get there and you're like, wow, how did I get here? Like, I don't remember seeing, different markers or signs or things that you might normally see. That essentially is a hypnotic state. That is you actually tapping into your subconscious mind, because you're not in the conscious seeing like landmarks or signs or buildings. You are in that like kind of daydreaming state, is really essentially a hypnotic state. And that's where you're able to tap into the subconscious mind.
Interesting. That's a great visual because I think we've all experienced that, and so it resonates. You talked about creating change versus just talking, and you also explained that there's a place for the talking, that it's not a negative thing in and of its own right. Walk us through what that change looks like. Let's say somebody decides that they want to try this as a therapy. What would they expect the process to be?
So I'll use again very surface example. Just worked with her yesterday. I'm working with someone on their fear of flying, and so that is a fear that she created. We realized we tap in to figure out like, where did this fear come from? Did something happen to her? Did she experience a traumatic event? Is there outside influences? Maybe the way she grew up, maybe the way she's traveled in the past. Really understanding for someone where the fear comes from when it's a phobia or a habit, right? It's a learned behavior. And so we really need to tap in to figure it out, because it's never what the problem is at the surface, right? So this individual, she has a fear of flying, but she has a fear of flying because of different experiences. She was in a bad car accident. There's family dynamics at play. So there's all these other things happening here where it really becomes a control issue. And that's really where her fear of flying stems from. So it's not about saying, okay, you enjoy flying and it's safe and all these things, right? That's part of it, but it's really understanding the deeper layer there to understand where this fear comes from, and then working to reprogram that. All these learned habits or learned traits that she has experienced, we can work to reprogram those and to really tap in to say, okay, it's a control issue. How do we create language patterning and words to really create the change in her mind around control?
What will that process end up looking like for her as far as the energy that she'll expend, the energy you'll put into it, the timeline.
Yep. So we're working together. It'll be a series of 6 sessions. We have done 3 sessions so far. She's actually taking a flight today, so I can't wait to hear an update from her. But she was feeling really great in just 3 sessions, just to see the confidence shift already. Normally she would have been very stressed out, even packing. And when we chatted last night, like she felt good about it. She's like, yeah, I'm doing my laundry. Like I'm good. Like she was in a good place because we've already reprogrammed a lot of the thoughts and nervous thoughts that were happening in her mind. So in this scenario, again, we work together for these 3 sessions. She'll take her flight and then we'll do another 3 sessions after. That way she again is going to experience the flight, and then we could do any tweaking, see how she does with that, and then tweak any findings that happen from her taking that actual flight. So typically the way it works when I work with someone is we do a 90-minute session. That's an intake. So you fill out a whole form and an intake form prior to our work. The first session is 90 minutes where we really dive into those answers. I'll ask a few more questions and, like I said, really get to the crux of what is happening. What is that deeper layer? What's really impacting that fear, phobia, habit, stress, anxiety, whatever. And then, so we do that for about 45 minutes. And then the other 45 minutes, we're doing an actual hypnosis session. What that means is it's not, a lot of people have the Hollywood perception of hypnosis. This is not stage hypnosis. I'm not making anyone quack like a duck or bark like a dog. I'm not waving a pocket watch in front of anyone's face. It's essentially a guided meditation. It's getting someone to a very relaxed state. If you think about the time, like maybe just before you fall asleep at night, where you're kind of like half aware, but half not, or when you first wake up in the morning where you're like aware, but you're still kind of in that sleep state, that's essentially the hypnotic state we're trying to get you into. Because again, that's really where you can tap into the subconscious mind. So I lead individuals through this guided meditation and use again, language patterning. It's very important when you're working with someone in hypnosis. Language that might impact Isis is going to be different than language that might impact someone else. So that's why it's very important to have conversation. It's actually all very interesting. I mean, people's eye patterns, like if you're thinking about something and you're someone that looks up versus someone that might look down if they're thinking about something, like that all means something different. We're all different learners, whether we're auditory learners or visual learners. And so it's really understanding the person so you can tailor the session to them. And then the consecutive sessions are usually an hour long after that. So again, kind of gives us about 10, 15 minutes or so of checking in, seeing how the person's doing, working in some tweaks, and then we do about a 40-minute session or so of the guided meditation.
I like a lot of what you just said there, because I think it gave a clear understanding to what makes it unique to that individual. Anytime I hear anything that is a one size fits all, I'm like, it can't be.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the same as that other person, and that person's not the same as me. And so I really like that you walked us through understanding the nuances of that individual, so that and that must be a lot of where your training is, right? Is recognizing those patterns, recognizing what somebody's, well, I guess it very much, it's their subconscious, right? What their subconscious is trying to explain to you.
Yep, for sure. But I will say, because I actually do even host group hypnosis sessions, and those can actually be very powerful as well, because again, it's framed in a different way. I can still talk to a group subconscious mind. Again, a very simple example. So if I'm working one-on-one with someone, I might be able to understand where a happy place to you is. Maybe it's the beach, maybe it's the mountains, right? And then I can tailor a visualization around that. But if I don't know that about you, I can still use words to say, I want you to imagine a happy place. Think about the sights and sounds of that place. Think about what makes you happy inside. I don't need to know that it's the beach or the mountains or wherever. I can still craft it and use language to help you and your subconscious mind tap in to what's important to you, but it might be totally different to someone else, because again, we're using the mind and the imagination, and what you're imagining is going to be different from someone else, but it can still be guided in the same way.
Do you ever find that people are resistant to this or more open to it based on their personal faith or beliefs?
Yes, for sure. So I will be honest, like I have declined working with some people. If I don't feel that they're ready for it, it's not going to work. If you're not open to the process, if you are not open to creating change, it's not going to work, because again, you're working in the mind. So if you come in and say, this isn't going to work, I'm skeptical, I don't believe it, that's all your mind is thinking. That's all the stuff that's deep in your subconscious mind. So if somebody's not open to the process and believe that it can work for them, then right, like it could certainly be a hindrance to them.
What else would you like us to know before we wrap up today? I'm sure there's something that you're thinking, oh, I wish you would ask me this.
I think for myself, even like I said, what I was learning more about all of this is, as I had mentioned before, everyone has a stage perception of hypnosis. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about hypnosis. It kind of sounds like this very woo, wild thing. A lot of people are very skeptical of it because they don't understand what it is. They feel like they're going to lose control. And that's one question I get all the time. People are saying, like, what are you going to do to me? Are you controlling me? I'm not doing anything to you. I am your guide. I am guiding you through the steps, much like a fitness trainer, right? You have to do the work with a fitness trainer. They can tell you what to do. They can show you how to do the different exercises, but you have to do it. So it's very much the same thing with a hypnotherapist. We are guiding you through the process. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm not controlling you. I'm not putting wild thoughts. I'm not saying crazy things that it's taking over your mind. You always hold all the control. And so I think that's an important thing to remember, because I think people feel like they're afraid to let go. But if you're open to the process and willing to really understand what it is, it can be so helpful for so many things. I mean, like I said, working with someone on their fear of flying. I've been working with a few clients lately on their cell phone and social media addiction. That's something we can probably all relate to, but we don't even know we're doing it. I mean, how many times do we all pick up our cell phones and not even know why we're picking up? It's just become a habit. It's near us. We don't know what we've missed. We're checking the alerts on our phone. These are learned habits. So it can be for something as simple as that to, confidence and just really building up. If you're an entrepreneur, someone in career and business, that's a big thing that I work with a lot of people on too, is their confidence. Because a lot of times, right, we suffer from imposter syndrome or lack of confidence, or think maybe, we're not as great at our business and everybody's better, or, we have all these negative thoughts we put in our minds. And so hypnosis can help change the patterning around that and your thoughts around that.
Alyssa, do you have a dream client that you'd love to have?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, it's someone that is very ready for change. I have a lot of conversations with people. They're very hesitant. Oh, I want to do this, but I don't know that it's going to work for me. Or I've tried everything else, so I don't think this is going to work, right? Like, I want the people that are like, no, I know this can work for me. It's a proven, there is science, there's clinical data behind it. Again, people think it's kind of this newer age thing. It's not like that. This goes way back. So, I mean, this goes back all the way to the 18th century, or some of the first recorded. I mean, again, they didn't call it hypnosis back then, but there is data all the way back to then. So this is not anything new. So I really love working with people that want to create a change for themselves and want to really see that change last.
Well, we can't wait to see how that comes to fruition. How do people get a hold of you? How do they get more information? Do you have an offer that you'd like to share?
Sure. So I can drop my information in the chat, but you can visit my practice is called A to Z Hypnotherapy. So the website is a2zhypnosis.com. And again, I can drop this in the chat. So you can feel free to reach out to me through my website. If you'd like to learn more, you can schedule a free consult call. Even if you're not interested in working together, if you're just curious to learn more about hypnosis, I love to talk about it and share about it. So happy to just have a chat with you to share more about it. I am actually holding a group workshop next week on January 9th, and that is going to be around your mindset for productivity, time management, motivation. As you know, we're into the new year now. We're all evaluating our prior goals, our dreams, what we're looking to do for this year, really intention setting. And so this workshop is going to be geared towards supporting those thoughts and like I said, really focusing on like the time management, being organized, and how hypnosis can play into that. It's normally a $44 price tag, but for this group, I have a link that I will also share that you can join for $22.
Very cool. Thank you.
It will be recorded, so if you're not able to join live, just know that it will be recorded and that you can participate via the recording after.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming to Evolution Business Development today and being a part of what we're creating here. If you are fortunate enough to be here with us live, then you're going to get to participate in the mastermind that we're going to do now. But if you're not, then join that workshop on January 9th and get to see Alyssa in her full glory. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love what you do here.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Want to be our next featured speaker? Click the link in the description to register, and let's stay connected. Follow me on all those social media platforms for financial tips to help you make your money work smarter while you build financial stability. Stay tuned for more and see you in the next one.